we begin, Harold asked if I would share something with the class. So let me do that quickly. So he wanted you to see this picture of him at the polling place. And he said everything is going really well, smoothly, and that there are no major lines. At least that's what he said when he sent me the picture about a half an hour ago. So there you go.
Tell him it's illegal to take a photograph inside the polling place.
You can tell him that.
That's wonderful.
And I think we're ready for Cantor Nemi if he's
Great.
here.
I am here.
Okay, so let me share what you sent me.
Yeah, so I was reading through Psalm 82 and I noticed a lot of parallel and related themes to some of the Psalms that we've studied previously. Yes. And so I had written this piece a while back that has 3 verses from Psalms, I think, what did I say, 3, 9, and 10, that use the phrase Kuma Adonai. And in Psalm 82, we have the phrase Kuma Elohim. So it's pretty similar. And I thought it might be nice to share that, especially since I was having trouble finding actual musical settings of Psalm 82. So this is Kuma Adonai, Kuma, working title. Kuma Adonai al Yaoz Enosh Yishaftu Goyim al Panecha. Kuma Adonai el Nisai Yadecha al Tishkach Hanavim. Kuma, Kuma, Kuma Adonai Hoshieni Elohai, Hoshieni, Hoshieni Elohai, Elohai, Kuma Adonai. Rise, Adonai, let not mortals be strong, let the nations be judged before you. Rise, Adonai, lift up your hand, and don't forget the lowly. Rise, 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 Adonai, save me, my God. Won't you save me? Won't you save me, Elohai? Elohai, Kuma Adonai. Kuma Adonai. Kuma Adonai.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. And we will see how these themes exist. So let me just say a few words about Psalms of Asaf, which the 82 is one of, and why we're doing 82 today. Some of you saw that I posted whenever it was when the new Supreme Court Justice was confirmed. It was a Tuesday morning when I was doing my morning prayers, reading the Psalm for the day of Tuesday is Psalm 82, which is such a powerful Psalm about judges and judgment. So I thought that given that this is an election day, that before we go back to our regular rotation, it gives me a chance to talk a little bit about Psalms of the day, Shir Shel Yom, as we call them. And we'll study Psalm 82 in particular on this particular Tuesday. Are Shari and Debbie on board today? They pointed out to me that Tuesday in general has a powerful, Saul Zalkin is here. What's special about Tuesday in the creation of the world, Saul, who is our laner? I'll give you a second to think of it, Saul, because I'm putting you on the spot. But Tuesday is a Tov Ma'od day in the creation, right? Am I right, Saul?
No. No, just Tov in the middle of the paragraph.
Yeah. But or does it say, what does it say? Let's look it up for a second. Hold on. I have it. Shari and Debbie, are you here? We had a whole little conversation this morning about it. Okay, so we'll look at, yeah. God says Vayhi Tov twice. Is that it? There's something about it. There's an extra Tov on Tuesdays. Saul, who's our expert on this section of the Torah, will look it up for us and tell us.
That's what I remember, Rabbi.
Yeah, okay. Saul's going to look it up, so we're going to know why Tuesday's a good day.
So this is Sunday, this is Monday, this is Tuesday.
Yom Shlishi. Yom
So
Shlishi.
God separates the water from the sky. Makom echad, vayichen hamayim b'kara yamim bayar. So, oh, you're right, Kitov. God looks at the water and the separation, and he says, God says he's good. It's very good.
So we get a Tov Ma'od, right? So we have a Tov Ma'od
That's
on
the only
Tuesday.
time.
The only time in the creation of the world do we have the word Tov Ma'od, which is why Orthodox Jews love to get married on Tuesdays, by the way. You know, we
What page are we on, please? What page?
well, that's in the
It's not
Bible.
a page.
That's just in the creation story of the Bible. So
No, but-
we're not on pages yet.
Oh, you haven't yet announced a page. Thank you.
No.
And-
That's just in the creation story. And when God creates Yom Shlishi, which is Tuesday, God says Tov Ma'od. It's very good, which is the only time God says Tov
Okay.
Ma'od.
So when God creates the separation, God says, Vayar Elohim ki tov. And
Right.
then at the end, it says again, Vayar Elohim ki tov. But God says it twice.
Yeah,
What was created was so good
yeah.
that God had to say it twice.
So Tuesdays are considered a good day for getting married in the Orthodox world. I don't know if any of you have been Orthodox or have gone to Orthodox weddings. They tend to be on Tuesdays because of that, which is an interesting, tiny little insignificant point. But about judges, judgment, and justice, this psalm is very significant, and it is Tuesday. And this is a significant Tuesday, so we're going to study the Psalm 82. Again, like I did yesterday, I'm not going to do a deep dive because this is actually a longer psalm, but we're going to read it through. As Jews all over the world have read Psalm 82 this morning, this is the psalm for Tuesday. So there are, for the 6 days of the week, from Sunday to Friday, a shir shel yom, a psalm. Shir is a song. So Shir Shel Yom, the song of the day. There's a different psalm for each of those days. And then the psalm for Shabbat is the psalm we sing on Friday night and on Shabbat morning. The other psalms are typically just done in Shachrit, in the morning service. And honestly, they're not usually sung. As Cantor Nimi said, we don't know a lot of settings for 82, but it's davened through. It's definitely part of the Tuesday morning. So I thought it would be meaningful to go to just look at Psalm 82 today. And how fun is this that we get to see the power of Psalms? And I know we're all having a seriously different levels of anxiety. Is there anybody who's calm and comfortable and happy and relaxed today? Raise your hand. Okay, Saul is. Yay, Saul. Okay, so we need you to pray for all of us, okay? Saul, we need your help today. Okay, so Sherry is feeling that way too. So anybody who's feeling really calm, send your energy and love out. That's the idea. Whenever you're feeling strong, part of your job is to help other people with that energy. So I always feel better when I recite Psalms. Tehillim is the way that I get anchored. Hi, Harold. We miss you. Harold just texted me and said I should tell everybody he loves and misses us. Randy is also poll working today. And I saw Reuven Greenwald is also poll working today. So we're grateful to everybody who's doing something, all of our little pieces to add to this great effort. So Yael, would you read the first pasuk?
Sure. מזמור לאסף, אלוהים ניצב בעדת אל, בקרב אלוהים ישפוט.
So let's start with Mizmor Asaf. We have not encountered in our class yet a whole category of Psalms of the 150 called Psalms of Asaf. So Asaf, first of all, is a man's name, and we have on our staff at CBSD, Asaf Astrinsky. This is his name. I don't think it's such a common name anymore in Israel, is it? Yeah, this is our generation, right? Do you know young people being named Asaf anymore?
Not really, but you
Yeah.
know, I haven't lived there in a long time.
I know, but
so-
all these biblical names are not in so much favor anymore in
Right.
general in Israel. Biblical, and this is a very biblical name, Asaf. And you can see here in the English transliteration, or it's spelled with a PH. Asaf Astrinsky uses an F. It's the same word in Hebrew. So Mizmor Asaf. So we've had Mizmor LeDavid, but this superscription is a Psalm of Asaf. I think there are 12 Asaf Psalms. I should look that up. I think, yes, there are 12 Asaf Psalms in the 150. Psalm 50, somebody said, was that Larry, you got up to Psalm 50? And when you did that, that is the first of the Asaf Psalms. And then Psalm 73 to 83 are all Asaf Psalms. So 11 that go from 73 to 83, and 50. So this 82 is smack in the middle of the 73 to 83 Asaf Psalms. Now, who is Asaf? That's a huge topic, but let me just say, for the simplicity sake, Asaf was, we think, the head of the Levites and responsible for music. That's one of the standard understandings. And the Levites, as we know, and we've talked about, sang the Psalms often. Asaf is, we're not sure whether this means, again, like LeDavid, was it a person or was it a school? Was it a style? But definitely he was associated with the music of the Psalms. There are a couple of other places where the name Asaf appears in the Bible, but really distilling down and simplifying, I would say that the general feeling is that the Asaf who is mentioned in the Psalms is not necessarily the same Asaf who's mentioned other places in the Bible, but that's a big, big topic. And probably this Asaf is the one associated with music, all different kinds of music. And we think that the Asaf, the Bnei Asaf, kind of the category of Asaf, were kind of a guild, a musician, what do you call it? You know, a guild of musicians. And they were responsible as a group for the music job of the Levites, which is a pretty wonderful idea, isn't it? That there was this category of people whose job it was to be responsible for the music. And correct, Asaf, as Yael says, Asaf, the word itself means to collect. And other Hebrew names that are close to it are like the name of Yosef, which also is related to the same thing of collecting, and with the same verb that's used to collect wheat in the field, and collections. It's used for all different kinds of collecting, but the word itself means something related to collecting. But the person or the guild was responsible for music, which is just a beautiful. So as we've seen La Netzach and other kinds of superscriptions, this one is less up. Okay, so let's just go now. As I said, this psalm has overarching the theme of justice in judging. And this is a huge theme throughout the Bible, which is overlooked, I'm afraid, too often. And, you know, Christians often see the Old Testament, the Jewish Bible, as only being about a God of anger and laws. But we Jews consider laws to be the source of justice. And if you can't have laws by which everybody will live, how can you have justice by which everybody is secure? So this is a classic psalm, which expresses that God's love is experienced in the universe in the acts of justice by judges. And judges here mean both judges, human, mortal judges in the world, and judge as in judges on high, God. And there's a sense of a relationship. Always there's this concept of whatever is happening lamala reflects lamata, below, and there's a dynamic between what's happening in the world below and what's happening in the world above. And the Mukubalim, the mystics, believe that we in lamata, in the world below, can influence the world above. And this is true very much throughout our texts around issues of justice. But this is why I don't like when people say, oh, the Old Testament is just God's laws and judgment. Well, hello, don't we want laws and judgment? Don't we want a sense of right and wrong, and a sense that those who don't have power are judged by the same set of laws as those who have power? So to me, that is an expression of God's love, but it's a very interesting tension that sometimes exists. Hold on, Bella wants to get in. Come on, Bella. So that's why this was particularly moving when the new Supreme Court justice was confirmed that this psalm was, that I read this psalm that Tuesday morning. Okay, so Elohim nitzav ba'adat el. So Elohim, which is one of the names of God, nitzav stands, ba'adat. Adat is a gathering, an assembly. Of El is another name of God. So we have in this verse two different names in this half of the biblical, in the phrase. So God stands in a holy gathering. B'kerev Elohim yishpot. So this is so interesting. B'kerev, and in kerev is among or in within, and this translation is explaining, meaning in the gathering in which God is found, Elohim yishpot. Oh God, Bella, make a decision. Which room do you want to be in? Okay, I'm gonna have to leave the door open because she's coming in and out. Sorry. So the word yishpot we've encountered before. Shin, pei, tet is the shoresh, all strong letters. And a beit hamishpat is a court. Mishpat itself is a sentence, or both a sentence or a law. Very common in modern Hebrew, and it's a very important word in biblical Hebrew. So God will judge. Okay, El, will you read verse 2?
Just
Sure.
let me jump for a second, please.
Sorry.
So there are two people with hands up. Do you want to take questions?
Sure, if they're about, let's do a couple of verses and then we'll stop. I'll stop after a couple of verses. So let's get a little, because there are a few verses that are important here.
עד מתי תשפטו עוול ופני רשעים תישאו סלע?
Let's just say this verse echoes in my head all the time. Ad matai, which is, we see often in the Psalms, which expresses our despair or frustration. And we say, Ad matai tishpatu avel. How long will you judge here? Avel, perversely, I'll just leave that. Ufnei rishaim, faces of the evil. But that's another way of saying, so panim, fnei is literally faces, but it's a way of turning towards or favoring. Rishaim, another word for what we've had, ra or rishaim, rasha. How long will you favor the wicked? And here we have our beloved word selah. How long will you favor the wicked? Ad matai. How long will you judge with evil or perversely, and how long will you show wicked to the wicked? How long will you favor to the wicked? Now we'll ask the question of who's speaking and who's being addressed, but let's go through a few more verses before.
שפטו דל ויתום, עני ורש הצדיקו.
So this is a category that we see throughout the Bible. Who are the vulnerable? The poor, the orphan. So again, there's the word shofet, shin pei tet, shiftu dal, judge the poor, viatom, the orphan, the ani, the poor, varash hatzdiku. So tzdiku, the same shoresh as justice, tzadi dalad kuf, tzedek hatzdiku, vindicate the lowly and the poor. So this is this is how it should be, right? Vindicate the, let's keep going because we need to get through a few of these to see the rhythm.
פלטו דל ואביון, מיד רשעים הצילו.
So I don't know the word, how I would translate the word paltu. Oh, it's for like, so rescue. Rescue.
Well, it's
how
like
do
to
you translate?
escape.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't. So I'd have to think more about this verb, how it's being used. It doesn't, or maybe help them escape, but that would not be the right form. Okay, but let's just get, we know, since we don't have a full, we're not going to do this in our deepest way. So this is help them escape or rescue the wretched, the needy, save them from the hand of the wicked. So now we're starting to get a picture of who is being spoken to, right? We'll get, let's do the next one. Let's do two more.
לא ידעו ולא יבינו בחשיכה יתהלכו, ימותו כל מוסדי ארץ.
Lo yadu, who are we talking about? They know, they don't know. Lo is a negative. So lo yadu, yud dalad ayin is to know. They don't know, and they don't understand. Yavinu is lahavin, to understand or to discern. It's another level. So we have these different words for knowing in Hebrew. And in biblical Hebrew, there's a sense of escalation. So you can know something and you can understand it. Those are two different things. So we have yadu, they didn't know and they don't understand. B'chashecha, choshech, darkness, they hit halachu, so they're going in darkness. Yimotu kol mosdei aretz. All the foundations of the earth totter. Interesting translation, but let's do another couple and I'm gonna stop after 7.
אני אמרתי אלוהים אתם ובני עליון כולכם.
I mean, we'll go to the Kuma to 8. Okay. So I understood you for divine beings, Elohim atem, sons of Most High, all of you. Very confusing. Who are we talking to? 7.
אכן כאדם תמותון וכאחד השרים תיפולו.
But you, turns out, achen ke'adam, you're human. And like humans, temutun, you will die. And sarim are princes or leaders. You're going to fall like any of, all princes, all leaders ultimately fall. And this is what Cantor Nimi was quoting. So let's finish with this one. 8.
קומה אלוהים, שפטה הארץ, כי אתה תנחל בכל הגויים.
Kuma Elohim, get up, God. Get up. Stop crouching in the corner. Shafta, again, we see, and again, this word is kind of the leitmotif, the rhythm of this whole psalm goes around this word, shin, pei, tet, it'll appear in different verb and noun forms, but judge, this is the word for judge. Get up, God, judge the earth, because you, all the nations are your possession. We all belong to you. Okay, so I'll stop, but I'm only going to take a few comments because I really want to finish the whole psalm. Oh, we did actually, right? Is 8 the end? I think 8 is the end. Okay, so let's take comments or questions and then I'll go back and point out some other things. Yep, 8 is the end. Perfect.
Okay, I think Sherry or Simon they were first.
No, that was for something else. So it's I didn't unraise the hand. You can go to the
Okay.
next person.
All righty, that's Scott Soloway.
Also, I just raised my hand to say that I was feeling somewhat peaceful today. That was an old hand.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's beautiful.
Okay, then I think Ben and then Lori.
Good morning. I wonder, Rabbi, if you can explain the first verse. I'm having trouble with that, and I'm having trouble whenever we're reading this. It starts Mizmor Asaf Elohim. Clearly, this is a word that's used all the way from Bereshit and refers to God in the E version. And although it's the plural,
Yeah.
it's most of the time in the singular format.
Yes.
The one place where I know it's the plural is after Shoat Hayam. But then the same word at the end of the verse couldn't possibly be the singular. And so
Excellent, 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 excellent. So what this is saying, so first of all, it's Mizmor L'Asaf well, let me go to this singular plural. Yes, it is a strange thing that the plural, that the name for God that we see a lot in the Bible is actually in plural form. But as you point out, it generally takes the singular verb, which happens also in different places. But there's only so much I can say about that, except so all different scholars spend a lot of time on this. One to say probably this was absorbing, a pagan word for God, and it was evolving, and it reflected a time when people saw it as gods. However, in this psalm, Benjamin, you've just picked up something so brilliant here. The first Elohim, traditionally Mefarshim, the commentators, see as referring to God, capital G, and the second Elohim is lower G for gods. That's why you see this being divine beings being the translation for Elohim. You see what I'm saying?
I see the translation, but that's just a translation.
But that's how most of the commentators refer to it, because it's saying, I know this is a very, very, very interesting sentence because of that. That Elohim first being used means the big God. Elohim being used the second time means lowercase gods, plural.
That's where I have
it's confusing. It's hard to understand. Yeah, we could spend a lot of time on this. This is a very big piece of it. I just want to, I'm not going to spend a huge time. We're at 10:30 right now, but that question is when we get up to this in 6 months or so, let's spend a lot of time on that question. But that is, but the way it's traditionally translated is how this translation looks. That the first one is referring to Elohim, capital G, and the second Elohim is referring to lowercase plural. But Ben, fantastic question. So my big question to everybody is, who is the speaker starting in verse 2? And to whom is the speaker speaking? Who are the, you know what I'm saying? So how would you see, what's the story here?
Well, Zalkin has his hand up.
Okay.
So my thought is not an original thought.
Yeah.
Robert Alter, in his commentary, says the first sentence is God talking to a bunch of lesser gods who, as you said, a combination of mythology that existed at the time, whose purpose, the lesser gods, was ensuring justice on the earth. And that the second sentence is God talking to these lesser gods and saying, you know what? You haven't done it. And so I'm going to make sure as it goes on, I'm going to make sure you die and I'm taking over.
Yeah.
That's it. Because you haven't done it.
So Alter is doing the kind of traditional, this is extremely rare to have a psalm in God's voice. Most of the time, our psalms, as we've looked at, are either kind of third person narrative, although we haven't had a lot of those, or personal, are expressing our grief, our anger. Although honestly, I've used line 2, and I offer this to you to use all the time about what's going on in the world. I know it's usually seen as being in God's voice. I'm happy to take it on and say it. This is to any judge or any society in which judgment is perverse. This verse is like a fantastic banner. It's just the perfect, how long will you judge perversely and show favor to the wicked? Come on. How long is this going to happen? But I love that traditionally we see this in God's voice. And in some ways, God's speaking to, Saul is right that that's the traditional understanding that God's talking to these other gods, so to speak, who have abandoned their job and have failed and are incompetent and evil in their execution. One can also read it as God speaking to us, right? Us as human beings. God saying to us as human beings, how long will you judge perversely? How long will you judge the, keep going down? Could you show it with the whole? So God could be talking to us and saying, this is what your job is. Rescue the wretched and the needy. Save them from the hand of the wicked. What are you people doing? What kind of societies are you setting up? I'm talking to you. I'm God. I'm telling you, you've messed it up. You've messed it up. Your job is to save the vulnerable from the hand of the wicked, not to deliver them. Who is it, 48 degrees today?
Sorry about that.
Okay, that's okay. Isn't that great? I mean, so it's like God, we've read so many Psalms where we are speaking to God out of our wretchedness, our despair. Hi, Harold. So nice to keep seeing him, though. I love that. Thank you.
I don't know what
I've got the
happened.
Psalm in front of me, too. So God's speaking to us. How long will you judge lawlessly? How long are you going to show partiality to the wicked? And then we've got Selah. Remember, we've talked about Selah could be a big clap of cymbals, could be a big musical thing, or it could be you can imagine this as a big, I don't know if we have musicians. And then this is your job, people. Render justice to the orphan, to the poor, to the vulnerable. Deal righteously with the poor and the destitute. Let's see, line 4. Line 5. Yeah, our job, 4 and 5. Look at, so God is speaking to us. Rescue or help them escape the rich and the needy. Your job is to save them from the hand of the wicked. Okay? 5. They don't know, the ones that are evil. This is in some ways the fulcrum. They don't know. The evil ones who are in darkness, and they go about in darkness, and they make the very foundations of the earth. I like this word totter. That's interesting. Now, this is what supports Alter and Saul's in verse. So this is what goes back to your comments, Ben, in verse 6. I had said, so according to this reading, it's God speaking. I had said, Elohim atem, you are godlike beings, uvnei elyon kulchem, and all of you sons of the High One. End of quote. Okay, that's verse. Are we on verse 6? Do we have verse 6 there? So yeah. So this is, I had taken you, but I'm going to translate it more like Ani amarti, God saying, and then quote, Elohim atem, you are godlike or godly or gods, uvnei elyon kulchem, sons of the Most High, all of you, kulchem, end of quote. Achen, but you should know, and this I always read, so this is like you are acting as if you are God. The evil judges in the universe are acting as if you are God. You are siding with the wicked. You are putting your thumb on the scales of justice. But achen, don't you know that ultimately, ka'adam temutun, ultimately you're going to die. And in going back to the soul reading, this is kind of saying you gods are not immortal like me. But I think this is also speaking to human beings who act in the world like they think they're God. And we all know who I'm talking about here. But ultimately, guess what? You're going to die like all people do. We are you human beings who act in these evil ways. You're not going to last. And then 8, the Psalm 82 ends with this most powerful of, now who is speaking in line 8? I think this is humanity now. Okay, so God has spoken, so to speak, to us to say, and we're saying, Kuma Elohim, get up, God, rise up, judge injustice. Judgment here doesn't mean gotcha justice. It means justice, like the good justice is justice, means laws are applied equally. People can expect to come before a judge and get fair treatment. And we're saying, okay, those who imagine them to be gods will not be the ones who have the end of the story. Those who imagine themselves to have the power of the universe, that's not the end of the story. They, like all of us, are mortal. The one thing that is eternal is the divine presence who breathed our souls into us, who surrounds us with love and light, and will one day judge all that happens. Okay, so I'm going to stop, and this is Psalm Shir Shel Yom of Yom Shlishi of Tuesday.
Okay, Lisa Brown.
Wow, I mean, those interpretations are amazing. And I've sort of changed my mind, Rabbi, as you've been teaching. But originally, when I read this, it seemed to me that this was the voice of one frustrated human.
Uh-huh.
And the missing word at the beginning of the psalm is if. So if you are standing, if God, you are standing in the middle of the divine assembly and judging, how long will you judge?
Uh-huh.
And then the same frustrated human turns to the lofty, and of course, in ancient mind, kings were divine. I mean,
that works too. I love that. I love that.
Semi-divinity among kings. I mean, this is sort of the argument
Absolutely.
that God has in the Torah, is that no, I'm king, and you know,
I love that.
Turning to the lofty leaders and saying, look, you're human. That realization,
yeah,
of humanity.
Beautiful. I love that. And by the way, if you wanted to spend some of today, this particular November 3rd, Tuesday, playing with this psalm, writing your own or thinking about what it means, perfect. And that's a grand, I'm obviously, because we're doing this with a kind of a time crunch, I wanted to get one picture in there, but thank you. Okay, other comments, responses,
Yes, Linda Solomon.
Okay, as I'm looking at this psalm, and often reading other things from the Bible, I am and having read a lot about Jesus, I find that there are so many parallels in the stories that are told about Jesus that are reflected in Psalms or in the Old Testament, of course. And I always felt that this is the way that the apostles who spread the word of Jesus used these stories and brought them to a level where it would be Jesus that would be saying something like this. And this, of course, always reminds me of when Jesus enters the temple and tells all the people in the temple, you know, this is not the way life is supposed to be.
For
So
sure. Listen, Jesus was a rabbi, right? And
right.
Jesus lived in a time in which there was a huge amount of corruption in the Jerusalem temple. And he was railing against them the way we are railing against the corruption we see around us. And he was using this language too. I agree with you completely. I totally agree.
That's me.
Ruth Berman, Ruthie.
I didn't take this as an academic piece, but more as an emotional psalm for today.
Yeah.
In the sense that feeling the way I'm feeling now and have felt for beyond time, I would say, that there have been so many gods in Congress that have treated us so poorly and lousy that in reading this psalm, it gives me hope that the turnout for tonight will be a blessing for all of us. And so that I'm using this psalm for that reason, in my heart and in my soul and in my actions. So
Beautiful.
I thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ruthie.
Judy Winters.
Hi. Oh, so am I to understand that what it means by divine are the kings? Because he says he's standing in the divine assembly among the divine beings. So
there are different ways to read that, right? There are some read it as actually gods, like in a more and that's what Saul was talking about, or it can be read kind of kings of that's what I meant, the ruler, the judges on the earth lamata and God is the judge lamala on high. So it could be, I could read it both ways or a totally different way, but I'm just giving you some of the access into it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm noticing now that we have 5 more hands raised and 5 minutes left. So we should try and
Yeah.
do this fairly quickly. The next person is Dorothy Leland.
Yes, you talked about coming from the, I guess, viewpoint, worldview, whatever, of Christianity. When you talked before you started the psalm, you talked about what I've always called the Old Testament and talked about laws, and that's how we have justice. And I wanted to thank you for that. It sort of opened my eyes to a different way of looking at those parts of the Bible.
Well, thank you. There's a lot more to be said about that, but we'll do that as we keep studying.
Randy?
I want to thank Rabbi for putting this on Facebook the day that that woman was illegally put on the Supreme Court. So I've been looking at the Alta version of this for a couple of days now. How long will you judge dishonestly and show favor to the wicked?
Yep.
Do justice to the poor and the orphan, vindicate the lowly and the wretched. And the word here is free the poor and the needy from the hand of the wicked, save them. So I was feeling, did this help me through that? This is what we're supposed to be doing. This is what the judges, especially the Supreme Court, should be doing. They are the ones that God refers to here as the lesser guards, in my opinion, the Supreme Court. And then I found strength in, as for me, I thought you were gods, and the Son of the Most High were you. Yet indeed, like humans, you shall die, and like one of the princes fall. So eventually they will fall. They are human like the rest of us.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, on this election day, and with that feeling like the last straw of the Supreme Court, this has given me a lot of strength. And I encourage everybody today to keep reading and looking more into this Psalm 82. And thank you for this.
Wonderful. There's a wonderful chapter about this psalm. This is another book which I haven't used in class. I don't know if can you see this? I could put it, I don't know, can you see this or no? Yeah, where am I? I can't see where I am on the screen. Yeah, there it is. Nachum Sarna, who's a great teacher. I think I've talked about this book because of this wonderful drawing of King David with the lyre. This is quite an academic book, and he only chooses a few psalms to explore. So it's not for the faint of heart. Like if you don't like reading dense articles, it's not for you, believe me. And honestly, I have to be in the mood for it myself. And I have a long, experience of reading dense articles. So I have to be in the right mood. But if you're in the right mood and you enjoy that kind of thing, it's worthwhile. Do you know what I mean? It's like it will produce it. You will be rewarded. But he has a wonderful chapter on Psalm 82. Again, he's only picked a few Psalms in this whole book. That's why also, and the chapters aren't so long. Maybe I could even photocopy. See, I date myself again and again. I can take a picture and distribute just the chapter on 82. Maybe I'll put it up on Facebook. It's not that many pages. But for those who like this kind of thing, if you're interested in, this is a wonderful, wonderful book. I'll put the,
I can't see it. Could you put the name in the chat?
I'll do that. I'll do that. But again, it's a beautiful chapter about Psalm 82. But again, no pressure. This is not like good people like this book, bad people, don't like it. It's an appetite thing. But I'm not using it regularly in the class because it doesn't do so many Psalms. So it's not as, I have a very big collection of books on Psalms, but it's very hard because very few, I've tried to choose the ones that will give as much. But you see, Fisher doesn't have Psalm 82 in his book. I really wish he would do all 150 Psalms. I really wish he would, but that's a big, big, big job. Okay, I think we have to end. I know we didn't cover everybody.
Right.
There it is. It's Nachum Sarna, Songs of the Heart. That's the name of the book.
Okay, so I guess we'll go back to the cantor.
Thank you, everybody. Hang in there. And I'll be on Facebook a bunch today if people are looking to just be in contact. And keep studying Psalms. Nothing, there, only good will come out of that.
Hi, Harold. And I saw that somebody had asked when I was doing this earlier the order of the verses that I selected. So it goes Psalm 9 verse 20, then Psalm 10 verse 12, and then the refrain is from Psalm 3 verse 8.
Can I just say one thing? Let's remember that tomorrow there's no class. We'll be at the funeral for Devorah.
Correct. And the Zoom link everybody should have for to, and then there'll be Shiva. You know, Cantonese, let me just say this so there'll be a Shiva, and we sent out, Shiva has to be at different times each night. So look carefully. Shiva's by Zoom. I'll be leading tomorrow night with Sam Rosen. I'll be doing the funeral. Rabbi Rapport will be leading Thursday night. Deborah Megdal will be leading on Saturday night. And Rabbi Mira Rivera from Romamu will lead on Sunday night. But all of those, the details of Zoom links and everything, please look at that email. And tomorrow night, CBST is doing a special gathering from 7 to 8 to kind of reflect on the election and to be together. So, and tonight we're joining, there are 1,500 people going to be on the thing with that we're co-sponsoring, that Trua is organizing from 8 to 11. You could come in and out of that as the evening progresses. Okay, now you can't, Janimi, sorry.
It's quite all right. No, very important thing. So thank you. Kuma Adonai al Yaoz Enosh Yishaftu Goyim al Panecha. Kuma Adonai el Nisa Yadecha al Tishkach Anavim. Kuma, Kuma, Kuma Adonai Hoshieni Elohai Hoshieni Hoshieni Elohai Elohai Kuma Adonai. Rise, Adonai, let not mortals be strong. Let the nations be judged before you. Rise, Adonai, lift up your hand and don't forget the lowly. Rise, 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 Adonai, save me, my God. Won't you save me? Won't you save me, Elohai? Elohai, Kuma Adonai, Kuma Adonai, Kuma Adonai.
Cantor Nimi, as always, thank you so much for your beautiful voice and your music. That's so moving. Love to everybody. Who was feeling really strong? Saul was feeling good. Who else? We need your energy today. Ben, fantastic. Love to all. Sending love to everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi. It was fabulous. Really great.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Do we know the link for the studio?